Welcome to Well 50, Wellness Reimagined. I'm Ellen Funk, and this is my podcast. This episode is The Power of Protein, where it's kind of a shorty episode, but we're going to dig into all things protein. So, in this podcast, we'll talk about what is protein, what does it do in your body, and why do you need it? How much protein do you need to eat every day? And what are some good sources of where to find it? And finally, we will talk about how to incorporate more protein into your diet. So let's hop in. What is protein? Protein is one of three macronutrients found in food, along with fats and carbohydrates that your body needs in large amounts. Protein is made up of amino acids, which are often referred to as the building blocks of your body. There are 20 different amino acids that can form a protein, and 9 of them are considered essential because your body does not produce them on its own and must get them from your food. So, what does protein do in your body? And why do you need it? Protein has been called the powerhouse macronutrient, and it is responsible for so much of your body's function, and it is required to keep you healthy on so many fronts. So, protein is extremely important for muscle growth and repair. As we get older, we start to lose muscle mass, and this is just a completely normal part of aging. If we lose too much muscle mass, it can cause a condition called sarcopenia, which we don't want. But consuming adequate protein can slow down this muscle loss and will provide the necessary amino acids that your muscles need to build healthy muscles and repair your muscles. It has also been shown that regular protein intake, along with strength training, can actually rebuild lost muscle, which will enhance your strength and your mobility and make all the things that you need to do so much easier. Protein is also extremely important for bone health. Again, like the muscles, as we age, there's a certain amount of loss of bone density and strength that just is normal, okay? But protein will slow that down and reduce the risk of osteoporosis and fractures, which is very common. Those two conditions are very common in postmenopausal women. So it is really important to get enough protein to keep up your muscle strength. Your bone strength, sorry. And protein is also linked to better overall bone health, because your body needs protein in order to absorb calcium, which is also necessary for good bone health. So you may be getting enough calcium, but if you're not getting adequate protein, your body isn't able to absorb and use that calcium as well as it could if you were getting enough protein. So they go hand in hand, and protein is extremely important for bone health. Protein also is an integral part of regulating hormones and enzymes that govern many of the physiological processes in your body. So enzymes, which are proteins themselves, catalyze biochemical reactions in your body, including digestion, energy production, and your metabolism. Hormones, such as insulin, which are also proteins, also play a critical role in regulating, again, your metabolism, growth, and your mood. So all of those things are very impacted by your protein intake. Protein is actually also super important for immune system support. Antibodies, which are necessary for fighting off infections, are actually made from protein. So you need adequate protein intake to ensure that your body can produce these antibodies so that it can fight off illness and disease and infection. And finally, protein is your friend when it comes to weight management. Whether you want to maintain a healthy weight or you want to lose weight, protein is incredibly impactful. For one thing, because eating protein-rich foods will lead to a feeling of fullness. You'll be satiated, and that will lower your overall protein intake. The reason for this is that protein has a higher thermic effect than fats or carbohydrates, which means that your body uses more energy to digest and metabolize protein. So it has to work harder to digest the protein-rich foods that you eat, which makes you feel fuller and also makes you feel fuller for a longer period of time because it takes longer to do what it needs to do. This thermogenic effect, combined with protein's ability to help your blood glucose levels, really helps to maintain an even blood sugar. And it also supports your metabolism. And all of that means that you have more energy and you get less hungry when you have a diet that includes enough protein-rich foods. So it's really a win-win. It gives you great energy, but it also makes you feel full for longer when you eat protein-rich foods. So how much protein do you need to eat? What is the recommendation? Like many things in health, the recommendation for how much protein you should eat every day is a formula. And it's a little less clear what that number is than other formulas to track down. The formula is based on your weight, your age, and your activity level. And so I have your back. I wanted to make this easy for you, so I created a chart that will tell you exactly how much protein, well, not exactly, it's a range, but how much protein you need to eat every day. The chart is part of a freebie that I created called the Protein Guide, and you can download the Protein Guide wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. And in that chart, you can see, again, based on your age, your weight, and your activity level, how much protein you should be eating every day. So how do you find this protein you're supposed to be eating every day? Well, many foods are rich in proteins, foods that are both animal-based and plant-based. There used to be a thought out there, people used to say that plant-based protein was incomplete, that it didn't provide everything that animal protein gave you. But that has been proven not to be correct. The only thing that I'm going to say about protein and a plant-based diet is that if you have an exclusively vegan diet, you can get enough protein. It's just hard to do because you have to eat a lot of food to get enough protein from the plant-based diet. But it can be done. So what foods are rich in proteins? Like I said, there's animal and plant sources. The animal sources are meat, poultry, fish and seafood, and eggs. Also, all dairy products, milk, cheeses, yogurt, all of those are very rich in protein. Plants-based sources also are rich in protein, such as legumes, beans, lentils, chickpeas are great. Nuts and seeds have tons of protein in them, and they're also a great, especially the nuts, are a great high protein snack. Almonds, walnuts, you can also put flax seeds and chia seeds into your diet. Tofu and tempeh are made from soybeans, and they are very rich in protein, as are whole grains, quinoa, buckwheat, barley. They're all great sources of protein. Another thing that I encourage people to do, I do myself, to get enough protein is it often helps if you sneak some protein powder into your diet. You can put it in lots of stuff. You can put it in smoothies or your oatmeal or soup or really anything. I encourage you to get a protein powder that is just protein powder, that doesn't have any sweeteners, artificial or otherwise, or any flavors in it, because then you can slip it into anything and you can't taste it. You can even put it in your coffee and you won't be able to taste it. And it's a good way to just kick up a little bit more protein during the day. So in the protein guide, the freebie that I created, there's also a list of great protein sources and how much protein, how many grams of protein you get from a serving of that source. So please, please, please download the guide. It'll be super helpful in helping you figure all this out and get enough protein into your diet. So how do you create a healthy habit of getting enough protein and into your diet? Like whenever I tell you to create a new habit, you need to plan. So plan your foods. People usually have no problem getting enough protein in dinner, but sometimes it can be a little bit more challenging in like breakfast and lunch, and particularly snacks. It's easy to grab carb-only snacks, and they're just not going to make you feel as full, and they're not going to be helping you towards your how much protein you want to eat. So plan your food and have that food in the house. Getting enough protein, again, I have other podcasts about this, but meal planning is really helpful to have some hard-boiled eggs on hand or some tuna salad or something that's got a bunch of protein in it so that you can grab it, particularly for breakfast and lunch, when you may not have enough time to really balance out, the macros in your meal, okay? So think protein when you plan those meals. And take a protein-rich snack with you. This can be an apple with some nut butter on it, or, there's lots of stuff you can do. Nuts are really good. A protein bar. But try to have some protein-rich foods around or with you so that when you get hungry, you can grab them. And they'll add to your protein intake, and they'll make you, again, feel more full and more satisfied. The other thing that all of this protein will do is it will really increase your energy and help you keep your metabolism going. So I really encourage you to spend some time thinking about how much protein you eat. And it's so important for your diet, and it's something that a lot of us just don't get enough of. It's not something that probably happens just matter-of-factly from your diet. So you have to pay attention to your macros and what you're doing. And like I said, I'll have lots more podcasts about this. And if you follow me on either my website or my Instagram or Pinterest, I like to put out a lot of protein-rich recipes every week. So keep an eye out for that. I'm doing a breakfast series right now where I'm just putting out some easy breakfast that you can make in advance and have in your refrigerator ready to go that have a nice amount of protein in them. So follow me on social media. And again, the links to my accounts are wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. So to review the protein podcast, we talked about what protein is, why you need it, and what it does in your body. We talked about how much you need and where you can find it. And finally, we talked about ways to incorporate it into your everyday routine. So in closing, I want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining me at Well50, Wellness Reimagined, my podcast. I love doing it. I hope this was helpful to you. For sure, download the protein guide and link to my social media so you can get some of my protein-rich recipes. Remember, every step you take in understanding and improving your health paves the way to a vibrant life. So until next time, stay curious, stay motivated, and as always, stay well.